Hello everyone, Sable back again doing another match from week 6 of UPL. This time we've got Enigami versus Maris. Maris has kind of been struggling to find her footing in this tournament since getting the start over King Bilu. Enigami doing decently as I recall and really dropping the rap and the gimmicks and just focusing on bringing better teams in that. So it'll be interesting to see how these two match up, and without further ado, let's hop right in. So Executor lead on Enigami's side, Alakazam on Maris's side, so getting the egg in a little bit early, and she doesn't want to T-Wave it, which suggests she wants to get her own egg in and sleep it. Looks to be the case. Immediate stun spore from Enigami, so now 50-50 here on booming or not. And doesn't boom, pretty practical. Taking the sleep with egg is pretty fair. Maybe now you boom. Doesn't boom, sometimes people like to go for just one attack and see what the opponent does and then just boom, but Enigami doing it on the third, getting away because of some paralysis and getting the boom. So 5v4 advantage for Enigami off the bat. Seems like he's prevented sleep. And two Mewtwo's coming out suggests they both have T-Wave if you're willing to just throw them out here like this that quickly. So T-Waves goes to Slowbro, so not expecting there to be a T-Bolt on this Mewtwo. People really are cocky about that now. Been happening in a lot of these games where Cloyster or Slowbro just hard switches into Mewtwo. But Maris so far getting away with it. Not even sure if Enigami has Amnesia on this Mewtwo. T-Wave Blizzard goes to Gengar. And this is interesting. Back Gengar, not often seen in Ubers. I think maybe it should be seen more because catching boom's pretty good. And I'm wondering if Enigami is running a bunch of boomers here. You've got Egg boom, Mewtwo potentially boom, Gengar obviously boom. You could put a Snorlax on this team, and that's already 4 booms. Mew can run boom. So this could be like 5 booms, some T-Wave support, and then like a last mon Articuno. And he's done Garlied Egg Kuno before, so it would just be kind of reversing the positions here with the Egg in front and the Gengar in back. That could be one idea for what he's doing. On Maris's side, we see Zam Egg Bro. Could be like T-Wave spam with a Wincon Mew that has like Hyper Beam and Earthquake. Could be maybe some other physical attacker in that one unrevealed slot. And that would go pretty well with the Wincon Mew. You can run like a Tauros or a Snorlax to help as a breaker before the Mew tries to clean up. So Gengar in, oh, I thought it was just going to boom, but Confuse Ray and getting a bit of luck, and surely now you boom. Yeah, so boom doesn't do much, but it denies Slowbro a turn, so now it's at 30% paralyzed and confused. Snorlax comes in, threatens it out, probably just going to slam. Okay, just rips the Hyper Beam, so expecting that she might try to even stay and rest. And free pivot to Mewtwo. Wonder if he just rips the boom, but would be a little bit premature maybe. So saving it, and Mewtwo, just Mewtwo Wars. Could this be Amni to it, or no, just 2 attacks recover from Maris, and maybe T-Wave Blizzard Amni Boom from Enigami. Goes right to Snorlax and then back. Okay, so like fishing for getting it to 50% and then getting Snorlax in on a full para for pressure. And just throws out a Blizzard. Might not have Amni. Might just be 2 attacks or something. Would be recover as well. Okay, so there's the recover. Wave Blizzard recover. Probably some other attack. Maybe boom. Who knows? And don't love the slow bro on that turn. I think given the position they were in, it seems fairly likely right here Anagami could still attack. I think you've got to get this down to 50 again at least, or get a special drop on it before you hard slow bro into it. Because now, it might only have 4 blizzards left, but you were going to lose this slow bro. And I think that slow bro could have had value later, or at least caught a boom or something. So right back into Mewtwo with no real gain for that play. I think just a little hasty. And this Mewtwo running down the blizzards, and there's the boom. So one attack, just blizzard, recover T-Wave Boom. So intending to spread some para and then give up. Snorlax going to get the Zam here because why would you sack the Mewtwo? And now it's a 2-on-3 effectively, although Maris does have the option to possibly catch a Boom. And there's the Toro, so that does suggest to me that the last is going to be a Hyper Beam Mew. Immediate freeze on Snorlax ties this game up, so that's some definite good fortune for Maris here. And just staying in and continuing to attack while Enigami choosing not to just sack the Snorlax, maybe afraid of Mewtwo coming in and getting a free recovery, getting a free setup. And right away Swords Dancing, that's a little scary. So he's just going to go for damage, and this suggests to me maybe it is like a last Mon Kuno here. Yeah, I don't think this has recovery. And there it is. I wonder why this isn't running Boom on this team. It seems like you've got a ton of Boom support for a last Mon, probably Kuno. And there's the Hyper Beam Mew, so as expected, physical win con Mew. It's probably going to lose to Kuno because it's paralyzed and not set up. Yeah. There was a point right around when the Mew came out and didn't use Soft Boiled that I was sure it was going to be a Kuno, and that's been validated. So no way to get para on this sort of Kuno. And that means that Maris is just going to have to spam recovery and hope that it misses every blizzard or runs out of them. One crit and this is over, one para and this is over, and Kuno looks like it's going to clean up maybe. Ooh, that's a low roll blizzard. Well, mid roll, I guess. So ice beaming now, just not trying to risk the miss when so close to winning this, and there's the para. Might look unlucky, but honestly, like that's kind of the expected outcome from here. When this Mew needs to set up a bunch before it can hit the Articuno, it's going to be really hard. So Kuno cleans up, wins the game in the end. Surprised he didn't Ice Beam at the end there. That would have KO'd the Mewtwo. 22% visually means it's like at 21 point something. I think that's better than risking a Blizz Miss. But either way, works out for Enigami. I'm switching up the order of the team, but still running that like Gar Egg Kuno core in the end. I think the support here is pretty adequate with T-Wave Mew, T-Wave Mewtwo, Executor, and a good bit of Boom on the team to help remove and soften Kuno checks, but I do think Boom on this Mew over Hyper Beam probably would be an improvement. Maybe you run Hyper Beam Boom even if you're pretty greedy and not worried about Gengar or Rhydon, but Enigami takes game 1 and into 2. Zam from Enigami, Mewtwo from Maris. So immediately posturing a really aggressive team on her side with T-Wave lead Mewtwo, which almost certainly is also going to have Boom. Kinesis from Enigami, I wonder if that means he's going to just try to send in a sleeper into it, but no. I do wonder about not T-Waving that Mewtwo. It doesn't have much longevity, so I do think it's worth considering just T-Waving it out of the game. Back Gengar from Maris this time, that's cool. So the Zam is parad, which means Nightshade is quite the threat here, but also it's kind of hard to make a call with the Gengar on that turn, so Enigami stays in an Earthquakes, trying to call it out on clicking Nightshade to hit Zam, and Cloyster comes in on that. So a lot of booms on Maris' side. It looks like 4 already. So I wonder what that suggests the last couple are, because I don't think WinCon Mew with Hyper Beam is that good without any para support ahead of time. And the only para support is really this Mewtwo. And is Enigami going to go Zam? That's so scary going to Zam, because if you get blizzarded on entry, you're just going to die. There's the blizzard, so see how much that chunks the Zam for. And now it's going to have to recover without paralyzing for a little bit. 33. Para. So now a crit could also do it in. There's a lot of bad luck possible here, but so far Enigami getting the luck needed. 5 more blizzards. I would T-Wave this Mewtwo at some point. I would not keep Kinesising it. I think you just need to remove the threat when you get the chance. And there's not really much to say until like some positional moves happen. This Mewtwo on -1, I wonder if the T-Wave will land, but it does. And Enigami also running T-Wave. So looking like maybe a bit of setup support for Mew to win, maybe some physical offense with Snorlax and some other Mons, and Mewtwo's a T-Wave support Mon. Maris definitely looking like boom spam with a little T-wave support, so I do wonder if that's going to be a support Mew on her end or just more booms. Some people like Ghastly's like 6 boom teams. I would not be surprised to see Maris running a 6 boom team either. And now Snorlax War, so probably something's gonna get boomed here, but she might be able to call it with Gengar on the right turn. And not willing to trade down Snorlax health any further, just going to Cloyster. Seems like from what's been revealed, Cloyster might be the least valuable piece, and it also might be one of the more forcing ones with Clamp here. So because that Clamp hit, this Zam should be basically just dead at this point. And she takes the chance to get Snorlax back in, try to pressure Mew or Mewtwo or whatever is going to come in on Clamp. Because you'd love to Paraslam something. But it seems like that option is now off the table. That little bit of damage goes a long way, and the crit on Snorlax goes a long way. And she goes to Golem. Okay, so more booms is expected, and Enigami wisely Earthquaking, expecting Gengar to come in, try and catch a boom. Instead hits a Golem, because both of them are obviously weak to ground, which, not loving how little para this team has. That's 4 Pokemon that just boom, but it doesn't seem at all like a super unfavored situation for her, though this Executor seems like a bully. And doubling back to Snorlax as the Mewtwo comes in, that's smart. So now it's a lot of pressure on Maris. Like, even if this Golem catches a boom, it's going to take a lot of damage, and then the egg kind of just can push through here. A body slam, if this egg doesn't get parried, okay, it does. This egg was looking like a big threat before that, but now guessing it's going to get a psychic off and then just get boomed. Yeah, there's no reason for her not to try to click the sub and see what happens. And catches the boom with Zam, so Maris unwilling to risk the possibility that Enigami just stays in and psychics again. And now Cloyster in, and she kind of just has potential to just keep ripping booms here. But ooh, okay, well now she's definitely gonna boom. There's no, sure, okay. So, wow, that's a turn. I'll let that play out for a second. So Maris here thinking the Executor is going to try to catch the boom. With Golem gone, it's not really a switch into much except for this unrevealed Mew of hers, which might not even be bad against Executor. So like fairly reasonable idea. Also the Snorlax could come in to tank the boom, potentially. And she's blizzarding to try to call that. Like it's bailed by a 256 Psychic Miss from Mewtwo. I'm sure she booms now. Yeah, and Enigami not calling it, not willing to try to call it after that blizzard came out. And now Gengar in, she just really has boom, boom, boom. If she just lines them all up right, it might just work. Though it does seem like she's running a bit low on resources. And Psychic on the Gengar. Gengar should still get to boom here. I don't see what's going to stop it. Wonder what's coming in here. So Mew comes in. I hope she doesn't... I guess she might have to try to Hypnosis this, because her last is a Mew, and that speed tie could go very badly for her, especially if this has Boom or something of the like. Enigami's shown that he's not afraid to run Recoverless Mew quite a bit. Doesn't go for it here, just right to Snorlax on a presumed Earthquake, which, yeah, doesn't do very much to Snorlax, and she should get another Boom here. And no Boom. Okay, well, it's still out of Earthquake range, so unless this has Hyper Beam, which it does. So T-Wave Earthquake Hyper Beam Mew. Presumably that last move is going to be Swords Dance, because why wouldn't it be? And now this gets scary. You don't have a way to block Sleep. Boom always claims here. That's a tough one. I think you have to Boom here. I think it's really predictable that you're going to go for Hypnosis, and it's not really punishable. But I think you need to Boom this Mew out and then trust your own Mew can sweep the game from here. And Hypnosis miss means she's probably going to lose. So easy to say from the spectator side. I think Hypnosis is like the correct positional move if it hits, but because you can't rely on it to hit, I feel like you just need to boom, send the Mew in, kind of force that last to fight it, or force a chance for your Mewtwo to get in. And if the Mewtwo gets in, then you're fine too, because nothing really switches into it. But now this is scary. If that Mew has boom, this game's over. T-Wave, so oh wait, it obviously doesn't have boom. I'm silly. I just said that it has Swords Dance as the last move. I got mixed up because usually these Earthquake Hyper Beam Mews don't have Thunder Wave, kind of miscounted moves. So either way, the T-Wave on Mew means that now Enigami is kind of in the role of having a free boom that can't really be blocked by the Snorlax. I'm sure Snorlax just comes in and threatens boom. Okay, Mewtwo first. I think this might also have boom. Yeah, and gets the crit. I don't think the crit mattered that much. I'm not sure that Maris had very many options to dance around boom there anyway, and even chunking it for half would have gone a long way in finishing this. So here comes another boom, almost KO'd, and whatever the last is, I'm sure it can do 9% to Mewtwo. That's a Tauros, so very physically offensive team. I kind of like this Mew as a support for this team, but I think you're overloading on physical offense a bit. I think the Enigami could have considered maybe running Boom again instead of Hyper Beam here, running like Psychic Explosion instead of running physical attacks. A lot of options, but overall, like pretty consistent physical offense idea here. I like it. Maris's team, I think, a little bit plagued by the lack of support moves from 4 different boom Pokemon. All this combined comes out to a ridiculous amount of like physical attacker hate, but not too much else. I do think there were moments she was advantaged in this, so I'm hesitant to say the idea didn't work, but I do think that boom spam kind of needs Executor to help it with status spreading. And instead, it's just a mono backgar as the sleeper. I think Executor potentially could have won that endgame versus the Mew and wouldn't have missed. It wouldn't have been able to KO Mewtwo in 16%, but it very much could stop it switching in just by the threat of Psychic on entry. So I do wonder what her Mew set was. One has to assume this has T-Wave on it to help enable the boom spam at all, but I think the offense is a bit lacking outside of the booms, and that could be really tough to win with. Either way, Enigami taking a 2-0, all 2-0s this week, so pretty quick games. 50 turns isn't like super quick, but overall pretty quick games. And that's the end of this one. So as per usual, let me know what you think, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one.